Hello everybody, welcome to What Culture. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, full spoilers for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Hopefully our review is live at this point because we're going to go into an ending explained. Massive things towards the end of this movie. Spearheaded by the fact that there's a new T'Challa doing the rounds. This is revealed to be T'Challa and Nakia's kid of 7 years. There's a whole thing in the movie where they say that Nakia moved away from Wakanda for about 7 years. And in that moment I was like, I bet that's going to be something later on. And we have a mid-credit sequence that reveals that they did have a child and that their name is T'Sane, but that's their Haitian name, and the real name is T'Challa, which is an interesting MCU makes me think of contractual business mandate stuff move, because that only makes me think that they're going to cast someone else to be the next Black Panther, and it's not going to be Letitia Wright in the new movie, and we're just going to keep going. We're just going to kind of carry on as if nothing ever happened and resume the franchise somewhere down the line.
Conversely, I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice little coda to the movie because you get this a little bit of emotional catharsis where Shuri is meeting her relative for the first time, who she didn't know about because he was kept secret because they wanted him to essentially lead a normal enough life away from Wakanda. I must admit, though, I didn't know if I just was misremembering Black Panther, because all the way through with Lupita Nyong'o's character, I was thinking, have I missed something? What is going on here? And then, of course...
How close were you guys?
Yeah, it's all in service of that final reveal. However, of course, we did briefly mention in the spoiler review, which you should check out, if you want, or don't.
Please do.
That... the idea of the MCU building its young Avengers and now having Prince T'Challa there ready to, live and hopefully live up to the idea of his father somewhere down the line has kind of been the MCU's MO recently, with establishing all of these younger versions of previous heroes and ultimately, you would assume, rolling them into their own movie at some point down the line. I mentioned in the last video that it's essentially very similar to Thor Love and Thunder's ending, where Thor now has a daughter. And it seems like we're getting this generational thing of passing the torch, and you might look at that as a kind of corporate gear churning to make sure these characters always are in movies. But I am yet to decide on what I think about that Scott Tilford.
I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. I'll just say that at that stage in the movie, 2 hours and 40 in, after everything that we've done, and you're even showing, Letitia Wright's character as Shuri's grieving process, I didn't need the little tacked-on bit just sort of saying, hey, but actually you're not going to be the future of Black Panther. It's probably going to be this guy. I kind of just thought that was a little bit cheap. I just thought that we've spent so long with that character, and she's very much earned it, and she's learned from all of her mistakes. She's tried to fight Namor. She tried to burn the place to the ground and kill Namor. Learned better from that, and then it's just that whole thing that's up in the air of, do we want to hang an entire movie on her going forward in terms of all the marketing and everything? Because she was in some trailers for this, but I feel like overall this didn't have a clear-cut protagonist until you started watching it, and then it was like, okay, this is a lot of Angela Bassett, a lot of Letitia herself. So I'm curious what they do. It's like, how the hell do you go anywhere near the idea of recasting Chadwick Boseman? Because so far we've just had people step in and do Black Panther adjacent stuff, like wearing the suit in this movie or taking on the various roles and responsibilities that the King has. But I mean, do you want to see someone else get recast, or would you rather they, go forward with Letitia?
I think both. I would like both, to be honest, because he's very young in this movie. He's 7 years old. He's not going to be taking this mantle anytime soon, and I don't see Marvel doing a significant time jump at this moment, at least not before the 2 Avengers movies come out. So I think we might see Letitia Wright back as Shuri as the Black Panther in another movie, maybe even a couple of movies, certainly a team-up film, and then I wouldn't mind later on down the line seeing a young Prince T'Challa come up and try to, live up to, like I said, the idea of his father, especially having not been integrated within Wakandan culture, because he's very much an outsider at the end of this movie, and I'm sure, obviously he's got ties there, but he's very purposefully being brought up away from that city to have a quote-unquote normal life.
Yeah, which is kind of like an overarching theme for both movies, is that idea of just how much should Wakanda share its various resources or share its technology with the world, and how much is the wider world suffering, and how much responsibility is on Wakanda to do right by everybody else. And maybe if the new T'Challa grows up and sees that firsthand, maybe that makes for some more exciting conversations in regards to stuff with Letitia Wright that could be in the future movies. It's worth saying that the second post-credits, it's not even a scene, but the second post-credits thing is just text flashed on screen saying Black Panther will return. So we do know there will be more Black Panther for whatever reason. But just letting you know, don't stay till the end of the whole credits. There's nothing there. It's just a black screen with white text saying that Black Panther will return. But what was your feeling during that moment?
What, just the literal...
Just the fact that they're going to keep going to some degree, that isn't the ending.
It would make sense, you know, you spend most of this movie without a Black Panther by design. You only literally get a new Black Panther in the final 20 minutes at most. So I do think there might be people coming out of it not annoyed, but wondering why the successor didn't come in to the fold a little bit earlier in full costume and whatnot. Like, I think it was the best move for the movie to save that right until the end, because it is about how these people are dealing with the loss of T'Challa and trying to figure out whether they even want a new Black Panther after the heart-shaped herbs all got destroyed by Killmonger in the previous movie. But still, I like that. It's just, it's just a classic confirmation of we'll see this character again. What I'm interested in is, will it be Black Panther 3 or will it just be in another Marvel movie? Will it just be in the Avengers?
I hope it's Black Panther M'Baku, because the dude towards the end of the movie makes his proclamation that he wants to be king. He wants to challenge for the throne, which is kind of like a repeat of the ceremony that happened in the first movie. But I think Winston Duke's M'Baku is one of the best things in this entire film. Pretty much every single second he's on screen is perfect. He has really good delivery. His accent is spot on. I just absolutely love the energy he brings to, like I said, every single scene that he's in. So I would love to see more of that dude. I don't know what you have for him on paper. Like, I guess he tries to do better in terms of like being a king or whatever, because at the beginning of the movie he just wants to hunt down Namor / the Fishman and kill him. Certainly. He's not that bothered about democracy, and that kind of changes over the course of the movie when he reveals that T'Challa asked him to look after Shuri, which is a thing that they could flesh out with him. I kind of wondered, before this movie, that they might give him more of the franchise overall, that he might be the next Black Panther or whatever. Maybe that's something they'll just do in terms of the role that he fills, being the next king.
I would hope so, man, because I think the character's great. I love Winston Duke in that role. He is very funny, but obviously incredibly intimidating as well.
He's ginormous in this movie.
He certainly is. There were times, I mentioned to you after we saw the movie, like, I didn't know if the guy was wearing a mech suit or like a body armor in the final battle, or whether he's just like that buff. It's incredible either way. Incredible presence. But I do like that he is theoretically going to become king, because he is instrumental, like you said, in kind of talking Shuri down. All the way through the movie, Shuri says that she wants to see like the world burn because she's in mourning, she's grieving, and she would go to eternal war after her mother dies as well. Like, she says that my mother is worth that. We're going to go to war with Namor and his people forever if that's what it takes. And he's the one who's like, listen, you might want that, but we can't like put our people in, we can't speak for our people in that way. We can't make them dedicate their lives and their children's lives to war. So I like him coming in, despite his size, as a peaceful, or maybe more peaceful king. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I quite like his general arc of sort of like dude up in the mountains in the original movie who just learns to get on with T'Challa and then just is an advisor to Shuri, and just sort of like ingratiating more with the royalty of Wakanda and realizing what he can bring in from his point of view. I think that stuff is kind of fascinating, and I do want to see more of that character. And the last thing that we had down in terms of an ending explained thing is that Namor, as much as he was spared by Shuri, and they seem to be working together to stop the war between the Wakandans and the Talokans, is the fact that he's actually just planning for something else to go wrong in the future and take over Wakanda anyway. He just says that right now this this alliance between the two of us makes us stronger, but at some point Wakanda will get wiped out by the wider surface world, and that's when our real time is to rise.
That gave me the same vibes as the end of the first Doctor Strange with Mordo, where he promises revenge, and then we never saw that dude for like 7 years, and when he did come back, it wasn't even him, and he was just talked about off screen. I would like to see Namor return. I think the actor is great at the role, and despite some motivational muddles towards the end, was a welcome addition to the film. I liked his backstory. I thought it was a great parallel to Shuri and the Wakandans in general. But yeah, that tease gave me the kind of, made me question, are you going to use this? Is this going to be followed up upon? I think what's more interesting is what he says in that scene where he kind of lays out to his confidant that, because the Wakandans agreed to keep him and his people a secret, the US and other countries will pin everything that's happened on the Wakandans and ultimately go after them, turn heel on them, as it were. And I think that's kind of more fascinating, because where does that leave Wakanda as a place and, a society going forward in the MCU.
There's also that whole sort of idea of like generational war. I mean, like it very lightly touches on the idea because it is his daughter in that final scene saying, "I wanted to go to war with you for the rest of my life" or whatever, and him just saying, "Look, the time isn't right now." But she's very much been indoctrinated, into the idea of war being something to pursue, which is something that happens with Okoye as well. She's like, "Let me die in battle. Let me die for the people that I love," and flashing all that stuff out. I think that's a very worthwhile and mature and important conversation to have. This idea of being strapped to old ancient ideologies and going to war just because that's what our ancestors did or whatever. I think that stuff is very, very resonant. I think the way that they do it is interesting. Like you said, whether or not it actually gets followed up properly is a whole other thing. Does Ryan Coogler come back? This feels like a Herculean effort to be able to put this together after going through so much personally, professionally, that I wonder, does he even, after pulling this off, does he want to just take a minute, take 10 years away from Hollywood or something?
It's a great question, man. And, as just a fan of these movies, I'm not sure what I want either, because I really enjoyed the Black Panther films, but that's all Ryan Coogler has been making, understandably, since 2018.
Since like Creed or something?
And the previous movies that he put out, like Creed, like Fruitvale Station, I absolutely loved. I think they're incredible. So I kind of would like, if he does come back to the franchise, I would like something else in between. I know that's incredibly greedy, but I want to know what else he's got. Like, what new original ideas does he have to bring to the table?
Yeah.
I think it would be weird to do a Black Panther 3, especially without him, but I would like maybe a little bit of a break now.
That bit at the very end with the new T'Challa just sort of saying, "Look, here's new potential actor." I think that lets Coogler kind of step back. My time is done. All the thematics that I put in place, all these conversations on responsibility, etc., are done. That's my wing of the Black Panther mythos done. And then maybe give it to someone else who wants to play it a bit more studio-like, cast a new Black Panther, do another almost more arbitrary Black Panther sequel, and just kind of go from there. I could go either way. I just think that it's such a human success that they've been able to bring this together. I just think that it's pretty incredible on that level, to go through so much in real life and everything and make it work. So that's my thoughts on the ending explained. Don't know what this ending is, but it's the end of the video.
We'll have to explain this ending.
Yes,
in this
we'll do
video
a future video, maybe a live commentary. But let us know what you think down in the comments below if you've seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever and what you thought of the ending talking points. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
Oh my god, we need food, and I'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.